we are live. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dallas Geek with Brad and Kyla.
Hey.
And today, in case you did not see what we're talking about, we will be talking about the always reverent, always beloved Home Alone. Would it stand up under a modern audience? And please start directing your hate comments down in the comments below, because we're ready.
I think you're ready.
But before we jump too far into this, if this is your first time watching us, thank you so very, very much. We do appreciate it. Do not forget to follow us over on Facebook, and to like the video both on Facebook and YouTube, and subscribe. Should be a little button on screen right about here-ish on YouTube to hit the big subscribe button. We do appreciate that, and of course don't forget to share us with your friends, because we'd love to get their thoughts on all this too.
Always.
And of course, if you want to be able to get us but don't really have time for video, we are also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and iHeartRadio and Stitcher. So
look at us getting all fancy.
Yeah, go figure. But now that the shameless plugs and shilling is done, let's get to the thing that is almost definitely going to be having some hate comments directed our way, in which case please be sure to address them to Mike, since he's not here to respond. But yes, with that, Home Alone. So Kyla, I know you like Home Alone, I like Home Alone, but in all honesty, do you think that a modern audience would love it as much as we did?
I'm gonna say there's like a 70% chance of it.
Okay. Why
That's
70?
coming from my stance of being a high school teacher also.
Sure.
Like, I say a good majority, yes. I actually had some kids this year, because around Christmas time, when finals are done, I usually let my kids like, hey, let's pick a Christmas movie, let's watch and let's see what we do. And this year I actually had a lot of kids request like, let's watch Home Alone, or also had a few for A Christmas Story, and then like one or two for Nightmare Before Christmas, which of course those kids touched my heart in a special way, but that's a whole other topic. But a lot of the kids really enjoyed Home Alone, like really got into it, like loved watching it.
Yeah.
But part of me also wonders, like, because I had a couple of those students that were like, man, I don't get it, like, if it was now, I would have just grabbed my cell phone, recorded the whole thing, and then called the police. Like, I wouldn't have done this whole, like, let's set up booby traps for the wet bandits that are coming in and everything. It was, you know, so it's kind of a,
yeah.
There's a chance, but I think there would be some that just wouldn't get it. So, what do you think, Brad?
I mean, I'm a little on the fence on this one too, but I'm closer to almost a 60-40 split, only because, I mean, yeah, it kind of fits into the contrarian nature of entertainment news, but there have been so many articles, so many videos talking about how Home Alone could be easily seen as more of a horror story, where you got the psychotic little kid hunting down the adult bandits. You have plenty of other people that have pointed out just how completely insane the whole plot of the movie is. That a modern movie wouldn't have adults that were so inept necessarily, but also that the level of brutality that is used to we'll say detain the bandits wouldn't necessarily be as extreme, but would have a lot more of a zany twist if this movie was made today, because that level of brutality would have been seen as cruel by most of the kids today, and doesn't really fit the humor sensibilities of a lot of the modern movies of that same genre. And
okay, fair.
I mean, even just looking at each of the progressive installments in the Home Alone franchise, and seeing how the sense of humor changed from one movie to the next, I almost kind of have to agree a little bit with that.
Okay.
The movie going to the extreme that it does might not fit today's preferred tone, but the concepts, to some extent, could still be usable. I don't know if the exact movie would be as widely beloved as it was when it came out. I mean, nostalgia has a massive factor on it right now, so I don't know.
So, when did you rewatch it recently after we had that discussion of what we want to talk about today?
I rewatch it every year, so
okay, so
you know.
it had been a hot minute since I watched it, and so I rewatched it like this morning, and I'm gonna have to say that like nostalgia does have some points.
Sure.
And I was like, we're gonna watch this movie objectively, not for enjoyment, and like really get down to the nitty gritty and like put on my like miniature English cap, because I'm not an English person. There's a reason why I teach STEM classes. Like, I don't analyze things super well, other than bring entertainment value and talk about that.
Nice.
But this one, like, I lost myself halfway through and just got back into it. It was just enjoyable, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I think, like, my only big complaint was... I had two. So the very beginning,
Okay.
when I think... Is it Marv, the one that has the silver tooth? Or is that the big one? I get their names mixed up.
Marv, yeah.
It is? Okay, so when he shows up dressed as the police officer to, like, try to talk with the family, people don't really just, like, let police officers into their home. I don't even think whenever we were kids that was a thing. It wasn't just like a, yeah, sure, just come in while I go take care of, like, the 70 million things that are going on.
That's definitely more of a regional and social class specific thing. Like,
that's fair.
I mean, yes, at the time that the movie was supposed to be taking place, you probably wouldn't have that same level of comfort in certain other parts of the country.
Yep.
But, I mean, yeah, no, in New England... oh,
that's right. It is. It is.
In the New England area, at that
Fair.
level of social class, at that specific time, yeah, I could definitely see there being a certain level of comfort just accepting it. Now, even in the same area, wouldn't be anywhere close to the same thing. But for the time, it technically does somewhat reflect reality.
The second one was, and this was just because I didn't really have much experience with this, my only thought process is like what it is now. When they call to like get the police officer to go like, can you go check on my son? He's home alone. I'm in Paris. Yeah, the phone operators, okay, like they don't really want to be there, whatever. I get that, that's not a big deal. The cop going there and just knocking on the door like in 3 series. All the lights are on. Doesn't even like think to do anything else, even though he was told a kid was out there home alone. Like, she's just crazy. I'm gonna go now. I was like, no. You're told kid is home alone. You don't just like knock on door. You know, like I don't know. Those are the only 2 things that really kind of caught me in the movie that made me kind of like step back for a second, but then re-immerse myself.
Yeah.
But
oh, and by the way, quick correction: Joe Pesci's character is Harry. And
it is okay.
Daniel
See, I was
Stern
worried that I had the name
Marv.
wrong.
Yeah.
Marv. It's okay. I was like, so Marv is the big guy. So
yeah.
My second guess was right, but names. I'm sorry. That's like the one thing I'm terrible with is
that's
character names. I'll say like the blonde one. Like I'll say that frequently when talking, or like the person with like the hair with the curls and like the freckles, and they're like, are you talking about Deku? I'm like, yeah, young Midoriya, like.
It's fair. That's totally fair.
I'm bad with character names, but those are the only 2 things that really kind of like caught me as like probably wouldn't happen even for the time period, or sure as heck would not necessarily come off as normal to modern audiences. I think everything else kind of fell in line.
Fair.
I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know, I mean, I think going back to the police apathy part, that's not necessarily far from the truth, depending on where we're talking. But I do think that maybe that level of extreme apathy for this specific situation may be a little far-fetched.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think, yeah, I think a lot of how the issue with the kid being left home alone was addressed would be very different if this movie was put out today, and if it was shown exactly like this. A lot of people now would see that as completely unrealistic, unrelatable, and just not getting it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's going to be
it.
the hardest part to be able to digest for a lot of this. It's just those aspects of the social side of the movie that were very time period specific. Saying time period specific with the 90s feels very odd, but I mean it is accurate in this case.
Fair.
So
Fair.
yeah,
I said that was like I said that those two things were like the only thing that really stood out to me as, like, you as you put it, like, for a modern audience to be able to consume it and like understand it.
Sure.
Because it seems so I don't want to say ancient, but that's kind of like the only word that's coming to mind, like ancient in comparison to what the standard would be now.
Sure.
Like a parent left a kid, like a young child, very young child, home alone and went to a complete other continent. There would be a little bit more repercussions than just a simple knock on the door and don't worry about it and like leaving. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like I feel like if this movie had been made today, there could be a lot of humor. I mean, definitely dark humor, but humor nonetheless, tossed around with the like a full CPS raid on the house, as like that's how the bandits get caught when the parents finally get through to the police again. They demand CPS gets involved, or one of the neighbors calls, and suddenly it's not the police, it's not SWAT that shows up, it's not some massive police force, it's freaking CPS that shows up to get Kevin, and in the end catches the robbery in progress. I think that would definitely be a lot more of a dark humor twist to a modern iteration of this.
Fair.
But yeah, I think that kind of speaks to how time period specific some of the bits of humor in this really were, and how it may not connect fully with a modern audience if it were to come out today for the first time. I don't know. I think you would have to make some, not necessarily significant tweaks, but definitely some fundamental adjustments to how the plot was laid out in order for it to fit with the modern comedic landscape.
Fair. Yeah.
But no, I think, I don't know, I think the dark humor side of this would still fit very well, but maybe slightly toned down considering, parental sensitivities.
Nah. It'd be great. Be great.
Yeah.
But no, like honestly, like I said, when I was watching the movie, everything kind of seemed to fit. That most kids would kind of do what he did at the very beginning of kind of like, oh, I'm home alone. Okay, and they start basically trying to like fend for themselves in the house. Go, oh, I kind of have an idea where they keep a money stash. Go get it. Go get the things they need, like, I need a toothbrush, because my toothbrush, isn't here.
Yep.
Can't find it, I don't know where it is. And then go like, well, I need food. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is order pizza, because that's the easiest thing that I know how to do. And then, not really understanding how tip works, because again, like, young children don't really get that.
Yeah.
And then going like, oh, I guess I need more food, and then just like going on his way to the grocery store. Like, I could still see kids now figuring out a way to do that, and so they could still easily relate to that sort of mindset that he had. And then the only other little bit would be, because I had some kids ask, like, why didn't you just call the police? I'm like, well, because the power, like, their phone lines were out. Very beginning, you see the power goes off, which is what caused them to be late, which is partly why Kevin gets left behind. Partly. So I can tell you, his plane ticket got thrown away. Like, in case you don't know that.
Yeah, and now with cell phones and apps and everything, that would be a very different story.
Yep. And so, I mean, even the waking up late. Like, I don't know about you, but my wake up alarm is on my phone.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Like, and then I do math problems to turn off my phone alarm to kind of give you an idea. Otherwise, I will sleep straight through it. So,
nice.
I do find math problems to turn it off. But the waking up late would not have happened because everyone has their cell phone. And then the not being able to even think or consider calling the police wouldn't have happened because most people don't have phones anymore.
Oh yeah.
They have cell phones that can easily dial 911 still. So those would be like other little things I could see within disconnects. I even had kids like talk about it, like, because they had watched Home Alone in another class. Like, why didn't he just call 911? I was like, because the phones were out. They went, that doesn't happen. I was like, yeah, they did. Like, that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, you also don't remember, kids, that you couldn't be on the internet and your phone at the same time. And they kind of looked at me horrified. Like, what is this? This prepostery. But like I said, I think it still has a chance to hold up.
I mean, I think
in some cases.
I mean, if you really want to get into making this realistic for modern times, this movie would have some perfect advertising opportunities to try to sell out to Amazon and like Postmates in order to be able to get their branding all over the place for like, I need food. I don't want to go to the grocery store. Postmates. You know, because give the kid a cell phone, even with parental controls. You know, assume that maybe the dad left his cell phone at the house, or the mom left her cell phone, and so, you know, now it's got all the unlocks, and I mean, you have options there to be able to make it a bit more modern while still having the same kind of hijinks. But yeah, I don't know. While I'm willing to say that I feel like the humor would be different enough that I'm not entirely sure it could work exactly the same. I also trust John Hughes enough that I assume that it, once again, if he was writing it just like he did the original, that the modern original release would still be able to have the same type of humor, same kind of just step-by-step formula that just works. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit of a fanboy, but I feel like it could be made to work. But that exact movie, even if taken in the context that, well, this is almost like a period piece where you just have to accept the sensibilities of the 90s. I don't know if that exact movie would be able to work with today, no matter what kind of suspension of disbelief you had.
As soon as you said period piece, I'm shifting more towards like a 90% people would still like it. And my example was going to be Stranger Things, because that's basically how it's set up, is that you have to keep in mind that it's shot in the mid to late 80s, and or at least in the style of, and I'm gonna tell you right now, everyone and their dog that I've talked to that loves Stranger Things binged it in a 1 to 2 night setting, including a lot of like younger students that I've talked to, like middle school and high school kids, and they ate it up and didn't even consider the idea of like, oh, they didn't have cell phones. They were like, oh, okay, it's in the 80s, like this is a thing, and just kind of just as it was and dove into it. So
fair.
I'm starting to think it's going to be a little better to hold up as soon as you said period piece.
Yeah, no, I actually hadn't really thought about that before, because, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There was enough of a nostalgia factor for just the time period alone. That I mean, you've had like the VHS cover art and even like the actual VHS release of Stranger Things that really was intended to look like it was meant for the time period. And yeah, no, that actually does.
I think it has a higher possibility of holding up than you think it does, Brad.
Okay. Maybe my faith in John Hughes has waned a little bit more than I thought. Go figure.
How dare!
I know, right?
How dare!
Okay, well, all right. Yeah, no,
John Hughes does no wrong. That's why Breakfast Club is my all-time favorite movie, and
well,
I can do it.
I don't know. I think you could have a strong argument about Pretty in Pink.
Nope. It is what it is. Like.
Oof. Well, fair enough. Then in that case, yeah, let's. I mean, do you have anything else to add to this? Because I feel like we've done enough back and forth John Hughes bashing to merit whatever hate comments we have coming at us. But
potentially.
But yeah, I mean, any final thoughts?
No, I kind of want to see. I'd love to see a movie where a kid now is left to his own devices and has to like fend off the wet bandits or something. Because just I cracked up laughing watching the scene where like Mark opens the door, Iron comes in, smacks his face and like burns it, and then Harry opens at the back door and like a flamethrower hits his skull and like sends his hair. Like, I don't know what kids come up nowadays, because let's be honest, YouTube can give you some crazy ideas followed by like, do not try this at home.
Yeah.
Oh, dang well, those kids are gonna try it at home.
Well, I mean,
be real with yourselves here.
I mean,
like,
come on. If you're giving like, you know, the likes of Jake Paul as inspiration for, you know, the younger kids and what kind of things they would try in this case, I mean, I feel like you're just asking for trouble.
Or even like David Dobrik's game with, I don't know what they call themselves, but some of the hijinks they get into are extreme, but not as bad as the Paul brothers, if you will.
Fair.
I'm not gonna touch that with 10-foot pole. I'm gonna leave it at that. Just that little hefty sigh and just a good day, sir.
Yeah, nope, I'm good. I don't need to dive down the Paul brothers rabbit hole on this one. I'm fine.
I'm good. That's for some other brave soul to touch. So things aren't done to you. So
Nope.
That's that.
We'll leave that in another forest.
I don't know what to do. I was trying to avoid it so much and you brought it up. Oh my god.
With that, I don't know how we can top it, so let's go ahead and call that. Guys, if you have made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with us. And if you're one of the probably many people that are going to end up giving your very vocal opinions down in the comments, please tell us more. Question of the day.
Disagree?
Question of the day: are we awful people for even assuming that Home Alone wouldn't work today? Please, just let us know. But seriously though, real question of the day: what do you guys think? Do you think that Home Alone could actually work if it was released today, with a modern audience viewing it? No nostalgia connected whatsoever, just would Home Alone be able to work with today's movie audience? Tell us in the comments below. We'd love to hear why not. But yeah, with that, If you did not already, please do not forget, if you have not, follow us over on Facebook, like the video, and of course subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button right here on the screen to subscribe over on YouTube. And of course, most importantly, do not forget to share us with your friends. We'd love to get their thoughts on all this too. And until next time, this has been Brad and Kyla with Dallas Geek saying, see ya.
Bye-bye now. Goodbye.